Hey, friend, this is Jen Gray, your host of Be Genuine with Jen, where together we discover the power of authenticity, mindset, and personal growth. I'm super excited for you to join me on episode 6 of the show. Today, we're going to talk about fears. It's Halloween. If you're listening to this live, so happy Halloween, everybody. I love all the holidays. So, all the things, I love all the dress up, all the mummy hot dogs, all whatever, all the fun. So, super excited for a fun day with my kids. Even more so, just to make memories. I think, especially when you experience really really difficult times, and when you lose somebody that's so young and so vibrant. I think if anything, it's taught me just to stop and to just appreciate every single day as it is. And so, super excited for all that today will hold, and very excited to just dive through this with you. I'm actually taking it from a training session per se that I got with Jessie Lee in her accelerator. It was all about mindset, and I was listening to this song called "Daydream" by Lily Miola, I believe. I may totally be butchering that, and that really is where I wanted to start into this. And what she said was. Um, of course to say that, and then I can't find it. So that's what we're talking about today, doing things that are not perfect, right, that just make you scared. But anyways, the whole premise was, if it's not scaring you, then it's not big enough, right? If you are scared to death, then it's probably means that you're on the right track and you're doing something that you need to do. And here it is: if it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. So, anything in your life that you do when you first start, it could be becoming a mom or dad for the first time. It could be jumping into a new job. It could be starting a podcast, writing a book, beginning a new fitness journey. There's 100 different things that you could start, and each of them are going to come with a whole lot of different sets of fears. And I want to talk about a mindset shift, and literally 5 points that you can use anytime in your life when fear is overtaking you and fear just jumps in there. And so, first of all, you create possibility when no one gives you opportunity. So, right now, if the fear is you are looking for some magical sign in the sky to fall down and tell you this is what you need to do, and here's the steps that you need to get it done, that's the first thing just for you to look at and say, I'm not going to wait for anyone else to decide that my dreams are worth pursuing. I have one life to live, and today I'm going to live in that. I'm going to live in the abundance and in the focus of achieving what my heart is telling me I am supposed to do. What is my calling? What is my passion? What is my purpose? Number 1 of this whole championship mindset is you have to have commitment. And I want you to think about, if you've ever started any type of fitness journey. When you decide you're going to start, right? You probably got some new shoes, some new workout stuff. You did like a grocery list, and you went and you got all the things, and you were prepared, you meal prepped, and you came in and you were so gung ho. I want you to think about that. And then, if you've ever done something, for instance, a few years ago, for the first time, I did something called Whole 30. The whole premise is you're cutting out anything that's sugars and dairy and processed food. And literally for 30 days, you're eating whole foods. That sounds all good and well until you're like, oh, I really just want some ice cream or some chips and guac. Okay. And so, like it was a struggle at first. But what I love too is when I was reading the author of Whole 30, one thing she said, she's like, yo, a lot of things in life are hard. Eating good food for you every day, it should not be hard. And I was like, okay, touche, touche. Okay. Challenge accepted. But when I first started, I was so ready. Well, then probably about day 17, I was like, there's no way I'm finishing this. There is no way. I've lost my mojo. I'm having like headaches from still not having sugar in my life, and all of the things. And what Jesse Lee and what we were talking about is, when you have commitment, it's taking that feeling per se of starting something new and being super excited about it, and determining you're going to carry that through, so that when you get to days that you don't feel like doing it, you're like, nope, I already know what it's like to fail. I've done that a whole lot in my life. This is what it's going to be like to show up. This is what it's going to be like not to quit. And you have commitment, and you decide that no matter what, you're going to do that. And listen to voices that pull you towards that. If you have people in your life that when you tell them, hey, I'm starting a new workout routine and I'm going to wake up early and can you hold me accountable? And they're like, oh my gosh, like, ew, like, you're going to run in the cold? Newsflash, that's probably not the person you want on the behind you cheering you on, because you're going to give up, right? Because the days that you need someone else to like, oh, give you that push, that's why your circle matters. Because your commitment is literally it's teetering on whether or not you're serious or not. That's ultimately what it is, right? Because you think about all the times you failed yourself. Why did you fail? You let some type of fear seep in and win. But I'm here to tell you that fear does not have to win. You are stronger than your fears. And what you have to do is put a mindset in place to say, guess what? Guess what? Today's the day everything is different. Today's the day that I show up. Today's the day that when I say I'm going to do something, I actually am going to do it. Today's the day that I decide that I am done lying to myself and telling myself what I'm going to do one day. And today is the day that I'm actually going to do it. That's when commitment is really, really real in your life. And that's when everything changes. Are you interested or are you committed to success? I want you to think about that for a second. Like, does like the idea of like this dream life of having freedom or getting to go on vacations or getting to buy fancy cars or getting to donate millions of dollars to a charity that you love, like whatever, like set your heart on fire. Like, does that just sound pretty cool? Or have you already like put a date? Like, I'm starting now and like I'm not stopping till it happens. Like, that's the difference in being interested in success and being committed to success. And what's powerful about that, y'all, is sometimes you don't know when the deadline's going to come, right? You don't know when you're actually going to achieve that. And I'm here to tell you today, in this commitment stage of getting started, doesn't matter the end date. There are some goals that need a timeline. There are some goals that simply need action. And what you need to do is be committed to the action and say, I'm done being interested in watching other people achieve success and watching people have success in podcasts and watching people have success in influencing other people. And I'm deciding that I'm going to be a part of that movement instead of just watch it happen around me. That's when you know that you've gone from being interested to like being committed or like I'm doing this. Like, here we go. And that brings me to number 2. So first we're committed and second we're disciplined. It may sound like the same thing, but it's like it kind of levels it up, right? It's like, okay, you got to have your commitment. And now we got to get down to the hard, dirty work of all of it and just be disciplined. To say every single day, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to show up in how I said I was going to show up. Listen, you have to choose your hard. You guys, if you're setting a new goal, it's because you've already decided you don't like where you are right now. You don't just decide you want to be on a fitness journey because you're in the best shape of your life. Maybe you are. That's probably a 1% of people. But for the most of us, if we set a fitness journey, it's because we're like, these pants are fitting me a little too tight, or I like there's some sag. I want, like whatever it ends up being, right? Or you just want energy and you know that you need to do that. And fitness just seems to be the easiest thing to relate this to. And because so many of us have at one time in our life, maybe it's January 1st every single year, we've made some type of commitment. But what we've failed to do is to add discipline to our commitment. Okay. The discipline is where you have to choose your hard. Like, you have to decide that, yeah, it may feel hard to wake up and work out this morning, but what it's going to feel really, really, really hard is if I end up with some like illness or whatever that was caused by me just not taking care of my body. Like, that's like the extreme example, right? Or I'm going to show up for myself today because I actually want to see what it's going to look like. My biggest fitness journey was in 2018. No, yeah, 2018. I think so. Yeah, and I just wanted to lose 60 pounds. Had no idea it was only going to take me 3 months. If somebody had told me in 2015 it was going to take me 3 months, I would have done it way sooner. But I just decided enough is enough. I'm going to do it, right? And I lost 60 pounds. And it was intentional every single day with workout and eating and all that. And I was super focused. And here's what I want you to know. Here's what's so powerful about discipline. You have 100% chance, unless something happens that's unexpected, you have 100% chance that you're going to end up in your bed tonight and you're going to go to bed and you're going to put your head on your pillow. I want you to think about that moment. And when it feels really, really, really hard, I want you to decide you're not giving into your fear anymore. That you're going to choose to be disciplined because tonight when you lay your head on the pillow, you're going to be proud. And when you make that mind shift, y'all, that's totally different. Because when you decide, like for instance, starting this podcast, I read a book. I was listening to podcast. If you listen to episode 1, you hear about the story behind why I launched, when I launched, and all of that. Listen, I launched it on a Tuesday because I knew on Tuesday, today was the day. I already knew what I needed to say. I knew I needed to get started, and I didn't have all the details figured out. Like, literally, I even said, I'm going to go live on YouTube. And I went to go live on YouTube, found out you have to request to go live, and YouTube takes 24 hours before you get to actually go live on YouTube. Clearly, I had never gone live on YouTube, and I was like, oh, that's funny. So I had to go on my Facebook and be like, change of plans. I'm going to go live on Facebook. And, right? Like, I didn't have all of my ducks in a row. I just had a decided moment that I'm starting it today. And it's on a Tuesday. And I love that because anything in me would have like wanted to start like on a Monday, right? Or let's start it on a Friday and let's empower you before your weekend or whatever. Like, I'm like, it's perfect. I'm starting on Tuesday. It's just great, right? Tuesday's just like a Tuesday. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do because I said I was going to do it and I'm going to show up and I'm going to have messy action. I'm going to be disciplined. I'm committed to make it happen. And when I put my head on that pillow that night, it was with such satisfaction that I was scared to death. I'm used to getting in front of cameras. Like I was in Jessie Lee's Accelerate. If you know anything about Jessie Lee, she's all about live video. Like me and the camera are super comfortable. There's something different about knowing that your audio is about to be released to whoever can listen to it on a podcast. It was just like this different level of fear. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna have to dig deep breaths and just make it happen. That's what you got to do. Because when you hit your head on the pillow tonight, I want you to be proud that you did what you said you were going to do. That is when you're like, okay, this is another level. Literally, it like is this like boom of adrenaline or whatever, like fancy schmancy science term that it's supposed to be. But whatever happens in your brain when you do that and when you show up for yourself, it's better than any like caffeine push you could get. And it drives you to keep going. And that's what you want in your life is to daily be producing momentum so that you can keep moving forward. And then ultimately you're going to reach where you're trying to reach. So number 2 is discipline. And in the season of discipline, I want you to know one thing it's super powerful. A season of discipline, it requires a season of sacrifice. You've got to say no to stuff to be able to say yes to what you need to do to move yourself forward. You've already decided this isn't outward pressure of somebody telling you what to do. Unless maybe you've decided to jump into a book deal and a publisher is giving you a book deal. That's probably the only example I can come to that there's like an outward pressure of a deadline or a timeline. For the most part, it's you've decided you want to do something. You've decided you're going to change an area of your life and you actually want to do it this time. There's going to have to be a season of sacrifice. Maybe it is building a business. You have to decide, I'm going to say no to a bunch of things. Like Jessie Lee had a decade of saying no, a decade of discipline. And I'm like, okay, right? You're like, somebody's like, okay, be disciplined for like 3 weeks. You're like, I got this. And she's like, a decade of discipline. I'm like, that's a lot of discipline. Do you want it or not? Like, I mean, ultimately, like, do you want to build something to the size that that you're dreaming it, or do you just want to settle for some like cool little side hustle? For me, I want to build something massive. So, decades of discipline. And it was funny. A couple of weeks ago, I like had Jessie playing it in my head because I was a Friday night. I'm divorced, so therefore I have a right of custody agreement. So every other week I have my kids, and so it was my weekend where I didn't have my kids, and it was a Friday night. I had zero plans, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And I was like, I could go hang out here, just like I enjoy being alone now. That's a big new discovery. We'll talk about that more later. But I was like, what can I do? And I'm like, what do I need to do? Jen, what you need to do is all these action steps in your business that are going to propel it forward. And so literally I'm like, perfect, let's do this. And I put Jessie Lee on the TV, like keep my mind. I like distractions. I like that as I'm like diving in and doing some action steps I needed to do. And I'm like, that was so silly. Like I didn't like make some big sacrifice, like, oh, look at me just over here making sacrifices, right? No, like it was something silly, but it was like 6 months ago, I wouldn't have done that. A year ago, I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have even been on my mindset to think this is prized extra time that I have. Like if you have kids, you understand like exponentially, right? Like when you have uninterrupted like spouts of time, like go all in. Do it. Do the discipline that where you're going to get yourself where you want to be. Number 3 is consistency. It goes hand in hand with discipline. But if you're disciplined and there's no consistency, there's no results, right? You can be disciplined for a couple of days in a row, and that doesn't breed results. It breeds another failed promise to yourself. But where it all changes is when you're consistent. When you set yourself out a 90-day run, or you set yourself out a 30-day workout plan, or you set yourself out for an eating plan that you're committed to, and you decide like I'm going to be consistent. You're always going to anchor your actions in greatness. Let's just talk about business for a second. Maybe like me, you build online. And your whole resume and your whole like worth as a business person is way bigger than even just LinkedIn, right? Like your social media shows who you are in business. People can know whether or not you show up in business or if you just kind of dabble in it, it's kind of just something you kind of do. So if you recruit in your business, it's a big deal to show up consistently because you're teaching people how you're going to show up for them. Also, it's a big deal because your results are going to be directly correlated to how consistent you are and how consistent you show up. So when you create a list of what you know you have to do day in and day out, your DMO or your power list or whatever you name it, you've got to just decide I'm going to be consistent. And this isn't just like a Monday thing. This is a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing. And other people in your life may doubt you. You know what happens? Other people may say, "Oh, Jen. Oh, Joe. Oh, whatever. You've done this before. You started something before. Like, really?" Or they probably don't say it to your face. People don't do that, right? They just judge you behind your back. I don't know, maybe just my life. They just sit back and they're like, "Oh, here she goes again. She's super excited about something." Like, well, let's just wait until this other flavor of the week goes by. You know what I say to that, y'all? Just own it. You're like, "Yep, I'm figuring out what ignites me and what's whatever." And just like I was excited about that, I'm excited about this and I'm committed and I'm done. And you know what you may have to do? Prove them wrong. You know how you prove them wrong? You don't quit this time. Don't get mad that they judge you and that they expect you to fail. Okay, fine. Challenge is on. Here we go. You guys can watch it happen. And then what's going to happen is like 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, they're like, "I think she was serious about that." You know what that does? It builds your credibility. So don't get discouraged that maybe you've changed your career, or maybe again you decided you wanted to change what your side hustle was, or maybe you decided that you wanted to change the whole focus of your life, or you want to change where you live, or anything, whatever. Okay, let them judge you. You would probably judge somebody else too. So don't get mad. Just prove them wrong. Right? Like it's this mindset shift. It's not like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you would say that. That's so hurtful." Da da da. You're like, "I totally get it. I probably think the same thing about you, and I'm here to show you that it's different." And be willing to be consistent and prove not only them but prove yourself that you are a person who can show up consistently. You are done with the days of just haphazardly doing things, and you're all in. Number 4 is have faith. You have to believe that the odds are beatable. Even when the odds say it's impossible, I want you to trust the process. This is what happens. Like like just think about it. Think about back to the workout example. You start on day 1, you're gung ho, you're excited. You get to day 17 of a 30-day plan and you're feeling defeated. You're feeling like, "Oh my goodness, like I lost like 0.6 ounces last week, like or 0.6 pounds, I don't know, whatever, and then you get discouraged, right? And that's what happens. And you're like I did the same thing 2 weeks ago and I lost like 6 pounds. Now I lost like 0.6 pounds. Like this is so defeating. I'm just gonna give up. Like this isn't even working anymore. Anybody in any kind of fitness knows that it's just ebb and flow. Bodies are weird, right? Like people who study them, I'm like, that's kind of like studying weather. You can be, I mean, whatever. Anyways, that's another topic. But I just think like there's so many different factors, and you're actually like building muscle in the process, right? So everything just weighs different and all that. But listen, the faith comes through that the process is going to get you where you want to go. And if you are committed, you're disciplined, you are consistent, have faith that it's all going to work. You're heading in the right direction. You are building momentum in the right direction. And yes, roller coasters of life still happen. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs. You just can't jump off the roller coaster. You got to stay on, and you got to have faith that, okay, even though today's hard, even though my results are not looking like what I want my results to look like, I'm going to just keep going. Because what else I learned from Ed Milet, which I thought was so, so powerful, is that so many times the negative of our lives, like when we experience like a depletion in business or we don't have the results that we're looking for, it actually comes about 90 to 120 days from when we had a season of where we just really we weren't consistent. We're like reaping what we sowed, but it happens about 3 months later, right? And so you kind of can look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, okay, that's why things are struggling with us right now. Okay. But here's the flip side. The good part, like you're putting in all this effort, y'all, it could take 2 to 5 years. And for some of you right now, when I said that, you're like, throw it in the towel, forget it. But I bet most of you are like, okay, 2 to 5 years or never. I'll take the 2 to 5 years. 10 years, 10 years or never. Like, I'm tired of living my life and never knowing where it's going. Like, if you just have that conversation with yourself and then you have faith, you're going to put in the work and it's going to reap the reward, and put in the kind of work that makes you proud. It's back to that core values. If you put in a bunch of work and you've lost your heart and you're losing, you can't lose yourself even as it gets bigger, right? You got to stay true to you. If your core values are kindness and excellence, you need to show up like that every single day. Like every single day. That doesn't get lost in the vastness and the growing parts of your business. Because guess what? Then you're going to build something and you're like, I don't even recognize who I've become and I don't even recognize what I've built. That's why you got to stay true to yourself through the whole process so that in the end you can be crazy proud of what you built. And you built it in a way that makes you super, super proud. Growth is taking place even when you don't see it. That's the faith that it all is working together. And number 5 is you got to have heart. You have got to be passionate about what you're doing, or you are going to burn out, fizzle out, all the things. You've got to give more even when your mind says you have nothing left. Give more even when your mind says you have nothing left. You may feel depleted, but here's I know an example of this. I was exhausted. Okay. Like I went through crazy seasons of just like refiguring, rebuilding. I'm still in that, right? Rebuilding my life, right? And a lot of you can relate to that. And you have days and you're like, oh, like I'm exhausted. I just want to go to bed. But I also had like things that I needed to get done through my day. I had a checklist of what I needed to get done. What I knew about myself and what I know about learning and studying from successful people is that I could just go to bed. Absolutely. My body needs rest. But I'm gonna go to bed as soon as I give the last ounces of ooze from me, and I'm gonna show up for myself and finish my to-do list. Because you know what's gonna happen? My sleep is gonna be so much deeper. I'm gonna go to bed and I'm gonna sleep knowing that Jen, even when you felt depleted, you showed up. Like, Jen, you're powerful. Like you can do hard things. That's what you gotta you've got to remind yourself instead of going around and trying to find 100 excuses of why, you know what, yep, I just need a spa day and I just need to go whatever. Okay, earn the spa day and you're going to enjoy it way more. Put your heart into it and it's going to be something you're so much more proud of. You're going to change your language from can I even do this to I am doing this. I am doing this. I don't care if it's 2, 5, 10 years. I'm doing this. I'm not giving up until it happens. And this is a new mantra for me of just even looking at that and people are like, hey, how's your business going? It's right on track. I don't know where the track is. I know I'm going forward, right? So if I keep showing up, I'm right on track. Not, oh, well, it's slower than I thought it would be. No, those thoughts debilitate you. Those thoughts waste your time, send you to a negative space, and take up the seconds that you need to be producing something and moving yourself forward. Don't even let that go in there. There's no timeline. There's nobody telling you when it's pass or fail. No, you're just moving forward. I'm right on track. I'm doing this. This is where I'm going. Let's go. You want to come along with me? That is when everything shifts for you and when you truly start to change. So I want you to know this mindset, literally, y'all. If you're scared, perfect. Just like that song lyric I so fumbled over at the beginning of this, trying to find. If it makes you nervous, it's probably worth it. Bet on yourself, y'all. You're willing to bet on. So show up, be committed, have discipline, be consistent, have faith, and put your heart into what you're going to do and watch your life completely change wherever you focus in on. And you guys, I love you. And that made me be so crazy for some of you to hear because I've never met you. Hopefully, I get to meet you someday. But until then, people hate people for so many different reasons and for no reason at all. And I'm going to choose to love you until I meet you and find all the millions of reasons we can love each other and cheer each other on. But you guys, be genuine, stay focused, and go and get it. I love you guys. Have an amazing week. I will see you back next Tuesday. Bye, y'all.